So a lot of the problem here is that people don't know what they mean by conscious. For example, there's a lot of people out there who are confident that these things aren't sentient. But if you ask them, well, what do you mean by sentient? They say, I don't know, but these things aren't it. And that seems to me a fairly incoherent position. So let me take another thing that's like consciousness and sentience, and that's subjective experience. So most of us have the model that subjective experience is seeing things in an inner theatre. So for example, if I drink too much and then I tell you I've got the subjective experience of little pink elephants floating in front of me, most people think what that means is there's some kind of inner theatre that only I can see, and in this inner theatre there's little pink elephants. And if you ask philosophers, well, what are these little pink elephants made of? They'll tell you they're made of qualia. And as you can see, I don't really believe this theory. Let me give you an alternative theory of what's going on when you say, I have a subjective experience of little pink elephants floating in front of me. What's happening is I know my perceptual system's telling me fibs. I don't really believe it. It's telling me fibs. That's why I call it a subjective experience. And I want to explain to you what fibs it's trying to tell me. And the way I do that is by telling you what would have to be out there in the world for it to be telling the truth. So now I'll say the same thing as I have the subjective experience of little pink elephants floating in front of me, but without using the word subjective experience. So here we go. My perceptual system's lying to me, but if there were little pink elephants floating out there in the world, it would be telling me the truth. So you see, the funny thing about these little pink elephants is not that they're made of funny stuff and they're in an inner theatre. It's that they're counterfactual, they're hypothetical. They're things that don't actually exist, but if they did exist, they'd be real elephants and they'd be coloured really pink. Okay, now we can do the same with a chatbot. Suppose I train up a chatbot and it can point at things and it can see things and it can talk. And after I've trained it, I put an object in front of it and say point at the object. And it points straight at the object. And I say good. And then I put a prism in front of its lens. And now I put an object straight in front of it and say point at the object, and it points off to one side. And I say, no, the object's not there. The object's actually straight in front of you, but there's a prism in front of your lens. And the chatbot says, oh, I see. The prism bent the light waves. So the object's actually straight in front of me, but I had the subjective experience that it was off to one side. And if it says that, it's using the word subjective experience exactly as we use them. So I think current multimodal chatbots can have subjective experiences, and they happen when their perceptual systems go a bit wrong. And I made this one's perceptual system go wrong by putting a prism in front of its lens.